Hello, I'm Scott Bulkey here with Kavahnas Herd ahead of his fight against Titus Moore. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. And how are you feeling ahead of this upcoming fight?
I'm feeling extremely rejuvenated. I feel like I have a lot of energy and I'm gonna get the job done.
Exactly. And am I correct in saying you are going back up to lightweight for this fight?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And what made that move to go back up? Because I know you did have two fights back in the featherweight division.
Uh so um really what made that move is just me having to cut weight. So sometimes it's a little tough to cut to 45, but also, it's convenient that 45 and 55 is like right there, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
not too much of a difference, and I feel like I'm still gonna feel the same, in there at 55, just like I would at 45. So to me it's not that too much of a difference. Other guys cut from like 170, 180, and they'll cut down to 155. But for me, I'm walking around at the same weight. So yeah.
And what do you make of people like what you're saying, who can be classed as like weight bullies? They go up to 170 and they cut down to 155. What do you make of people that do that?
Well, like you said, they're weight bullies. So I feel like yeah, sometimes they can have an advantage with that, but also just like it can also be like just like it is beneficial, it can also be bad in terms of just being too bloated, and sometimes guys will just be too big, and uh it'll cause them to move slower, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for sure.
And do you have anyone that is there to help support you with the weight cut, or do you feel like you know what's best for your body, you know what you need to do to get to that correct weight?
Um, I do know what's best for my body, but I always like to listen to my coaches. I love to hear their intel. What do they think I should do? This time around, it's super easy. I'm like 8 pounds out right now. So right now I feel like I'm just floating. Like every day I might go in the sauna and cut like 2 pounds, but I don't think I'm going to have any trouble cutting this time for sure.
Exactly. And how do you see this fight playing out? Are you wanting to keep it on the feet, mix in the whole game? I know you don't want to give too much away, but how do you feel like this fight's going to play out?
Ah, dang. Honestly, I feel like I get him out of there. I feel like I get him out of there first or second round. Um, I just feel like he's never fought a fighter that's like me. He's fought some great fighters, but he's never fought the guys that he has fought and lost to. I would say they're similar, to my style, and I would just take from that. I see guys that's just like me that fought him and beat him, and I can just see myself doing something just as similar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
And this is your first fight in 2025. You did have a fight in 2024. You did have one scheduled for December. However, was that just due to injuries as well as struggling to find opponents?
Yeah, so it was more of just struggle of finding opponents. Nobody really wanting to fight me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We did find an opponent last month, but the guy ended up pulling out like 2 days before the fight, so it's whatever. But um yeah, so now we're here. I'm excited.
And is there any? I know it's annoying not being able to find the opponents to be able to get step in the cage, but is there any part of you that takes it as they're not wanting to fight me because they know my ability?
Uh, um yeah, part of me would like to think that, but realistically, I just tell myself it could be anything, Guys pull out of fights for the smallest reasons these days, It's so it could have been me or it could have been the fighter himself, If he feels like he's not ready, then that's on him. But I don't think too hard about it, you know what I mean? We just keep moving.
So, what's your plan for 2025? You get this victory against Titus. You're starting off the year great form. What are you looking for next?
What am I looking for? I'm looking for a contract. like a fight contract. I'm trying to get on the run, maybe get 2, 3 wins out the way, and I want to make my way to the contender series for sure.
Exactly. And if you get that, once you get a victory, you will be 4-1. Do you
Yes,
feel
sir.
like you can then probably get somewhere like an LFA or a Fury and then get your way there? Or are you
Uh,
looking to stay on that, like the independent scene?
I think so. I think I would be able to get like a CFFC fight, maybe a LFA after this one. But then again, I could just take a few more UBGs or whatever it takes to get me to the next level, you know? So whatever comes, I'm just here for the ride.
Exactly. And unfortunately, in your last fight, you weren't able to get the victory. However, what have you been able to take from being in that fight, being a title fight as well? What have you taken from that?
Um, Ethan Hayes, well, Ethan, what was his name? Was
Even
It was
Hayes.
Ethan Hayes. Yeah, Ethan Hayes. He was a very tough and gritty guy, He's had so much more experience than I did. He was like, I think 32, So he had twice the amount of fights that I did. So I knew the risks before fighting this guy, He's had pro boxing matches. He was on a really good level. For me, I just feel like I was very proud of myself. First, I want to go out and say that for not getting finished, going out there and fighting 3 rounds. It was a super close fight. I
Yeah,
mean, super close because it was a split decision instead of a unanimous.
yeah.
I feel like if I would have fought that guy in my hometown, I probably could have taken it, but you know, it happens. But
And sorry.
sorry, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
And rewatching it, do you feel like you edged it, or do you feel like it is probably the correct decision to give it to him?
Rewatching it, I feel like I won first and third, but you never know. It's a fight, so the judges could be scoring it how they scoring it, and I could be biased because it's my fight. You know what I mean? So I feel like they made the right decision, though. You know, even though it happened how it happened, can't be mad with it.
And do you feel like that just shows how professional you are in the sense of you weren't able to get the victory, you're not making excuses, you're not going out there saying this shouldn't have happened, this shouldn't have happened. You're just taking it on the chin and you're moving on.
Absolutely. When I was younger and I used to lose, I used to get more emotional and cry and stuff and pout, But win or lose now, I know that it's just a sport. It's a learning experience. I love the journey. It's a beautiful thing, and I love everything about this sport. Win, lose, or draw. And to me, it's never a loss. It's a learning lesson.
Exactly. And do you have any plans after the fight, after you get that victory? Any celebratory things that you like to do?
Uh, yeah, I'll probably just eat. Yeah, that's all I can think about right now. It's
Well, I
a
mean,
good meal.
you have been cutting for the fight, so you deserve to have that food.
Yes,
What is
sir.
what's your go-to after the fight for like terms of food?
uh, Probably hit up hibachi's. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Place like that, maybe Heroes or something. You know what I mean?
That
Chinese
sounds
food.
that sounds very nice. And
Yeah.
if you had your way in that cage, how would you look to finish? Is there any sort of technique you would like to implement? Any submission? What would you like to see that knockout or submission be?
Uh, mhm. It'd be pretty cool to submit him with a Dars, you know. Something that I never did, but I know that I can. Like I have these tools in my back pocket. Uh, but I'm thinking either KO or submission for sure. That'd be one of the coolest things to go off riding to the sunset with.
That sounds great. And what brought you into MMA?
Uh, so I used to box when I was younger, and I ended up meeting Derek Brunson in a boxing center that I trained at. It was called Port City. It's up here in Wilmington. And me and him, we was chatting it up like one day. We were chatting it up like for a while. And he was like, "Yeah, man, I want you to like come train at my gym." And it was just making it sound good. And it did. And at this time I didn't know anything about MMA like at all. Uh my stance and stuff was wide, like my boxing was wide. So I was very vulnerable to leg kicks. I couldn't check kicks. I could only punch, you know what I mean? So making the transition was super hard. It was different. And I think that was one of the reasons that I lost my first amateur MMA fight.
And looking back now, like you're saying, your stance was all wrong, your stance was leg kicks. Looking back at when you first started, what was it like seeing that progress you've made in the sport?
Man, it's so miraculous, you know. I feel like I'm so way better than I was a few years ago, and that's how it's supposed to be, you know. And if I can keep doing that, if I can keep growing and keep tremendously getting better, then I have high hopes of myself being at the highest level in the game.
And do you do anything outside of fighting? Like, do you work top of train?
Do I work?
Yeah, like outside of the training and fighting style, do you work as well to supplement it?
Yes, sir. I was actually working at Little Guys Movers right now, so I'm a mover.
And how has that been? And because obviously you do have that job, and then you have to find time to train as well. So how is it being able to balance both of that?
It's been pretty chill, you know. I only work like 2 3 days a week, so I kind of space it out pretty well, you know. And I train almost every day, so as long as nothing's getting in the way of training, I feel like I'm good, you know.
Exactly. And I know you're going to go out there on January 25th and be able to get that victory. Is there anything you're wanting to add or anyone you're wanting to shout out?
Anyone I want to add or shout out? Shout out my coaches, Derek Brunson, Dre Hurd, and James Brown. Yeah.
Well, that sounds great, and I wish you the best of luck. I know you can get that victory. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Scott.